Hi DPS 5th graders, we are here for lesson 2 regarding our essential question of how do myths, folktales, and legends convey ideas about human nature. Today our learning target is I can determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in text and recognize how those word choices contribute to meaning and tone. We're going to be spending a lot of time on that last part of our learning target. Remember to pause and rewind as you need so that way you can have appropriate understanding and be able to read and get everything down. And of course, make sure that you have something to write on and write with. All right, so we know that we read to learn, and when reading these types of stories, we're reading to learn that theme or central message. Today, we're going to be reading a fable from Cameroon entitled The Talking Skull and trying to determine how word choices contribute to the meaning of the story. And Cameroon is on the continent of Africa. It's right next to Nigeria. It's that country right there. All right, so first we're just going to be looking at straight up words and phrases. So I have 2 words and phrases that we're going to look at. So go ahead and pause and read this first paragraph and then come on back when you're ready. All right, so we see in this first paragraph that here it is. It's a scholar of life. That was our first one. So what does that mean? Well, he's always deep in thought. He's liking to think about a lot of things. So when I'm going to my chart, what does scholar of life mean? Someone who contemplates important things about life. And what's the connotation of that? What does that kind of, what's the tone of it? Well, it's kind of worldly important. We would think that somebody who's a scholar of life is somebody who is important. All right, stammer is the next one. Go ahead again, pause. We're just finishing reading this first page. It's also linked in your Canvas module. And now that we've read it, we notice that stammer is down here. Well, he's trying to stammer out. He's watching the skull for a few minutes. He's clearly surprised. And so he's trying to get out the words, but he really can't for a while because he's so surprised that the skull is talking to him. So what does stammer mean? Well, I can infer that stammer means to struggle to speak fully due to surprise or strong emotion. And so what's that connotation? Surprising, unexpected. He did not expect this to happen. All right, so once you make sure that this is down, let's go ahead and hit that second part of our learning target. We've been working a lot with words and phrases, and now we're thinking about how do these word choices contribute to the meaning and tone. And specifically, we're going to look at how do they contribute to creating and explaining the character of the man. So how does that contribute to the meaning of who that man is, developing him as a character? All right, so we're going to try to find 2 words or phrases that do that. As I'm looking back, I noticed one thing is that he only noticed things he thought were useful. This is important because it's showing that he's not really noticing everything, right? He's kind of self-absorbed. He's only thinking about the things that he thinks are important. I also pulled this quote out. Of course, there's other words and phrases that we could use as well. But he didn't notice the clear blue sky. He was thinking about all the storms that must have been churning far away. So he's thinking very negatively, right? He's not thinking about what's actually happening. He's thinking about the bad things that could happen. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So there's our first quote right there. What does it mean? Exactly what we said. He did not appreciate everything around him. So what's that meaning, or what's that connotation towards his character? Well, we learned that he's a little bit self-absorbed, right? This is the meaning and how we connect to the explaining the character. So he's a bit self-absorbed. He thinks highly of himself. He only notices things that he thinks are useful, right? And then the other one right there, that's our second one. Again, he's only thinking of the bad things that could happen instead of what is happening. So what's the meaning? What's the tone of that? Well, the man's very negative. He doesn't take note of what's happening around him, just what bad things could happen. So these 2 phrases right here are greatly contributing to explain the character of the man. We know who the man is in terms of what is he like because we can think about the tone of those phrases. All right, so once you make sure that you have all of this down, you've rewound and paused as you need, you're going to go ahead and move on and finish reading this folktale. And then you're going to complete the graphic organizer for the rest of this folktale. This and the text can be found on the next page in your Canvas module, so head on over there when you're ready.